So of course, this we're just starting our new first episode of 2023, and we're just getting straight into Panathinaikos. Is going to be one of our main topics today, as well as crazy game in Belgrade between Barcelona and Red Star. We have some free agency topics, NBA topic. We will try to rank the best centers in the West. And for sure, we'll do a short recap of 2022. And we will give some bold predictions for 2023. So before we start, please subscribe Basket News channel on YouTube. Join BasketNews.com and Basket News BN Plus community on BasketNews.com/plus for more extra content, including additional podcasts. For example, this week we'll have another Q&A session, and the entire episode will be available only for BN Plus members. I believe that we will have some interesting events and stuff inside BN Plus community with some nice gifts. With some nice jersey and a lot of things are going to be there in the upcoming months. So join us not only for podcasts, not for the ability to win those prizes, but also for some extra features on BasketNews.com. So,
by the way, I want to compliment you on a very good interview with Coach Trinchieri.
Thank you so much.
That was amazing. I listened to the interview; it was so awesome. Of course, it's easier when you're interviewing Trinchieri, not just somebody else.
Yeah, that's true.
He gives you so many.
You just need
quotes.
to put him on the right path.
Exactly.
To express.
My favorite question was the one about Allen Iverson. My favorite question, because his answer was so broad when he started talking about him being the GM and what coach he would want to have, and when he explained that I would like to have a coach that 1 year he can play one way. Second year, he can play in different way. He can play with a quick, small point guard. He can play with a tall, slow point guard. And just basically listening to Trinchieri for somebody who's a basketball fan it's like music to your ears, because you always get some interesting thoughts on different topics. And not only basketball, I would say he had some things to say about life in general, not only basketball. It was a great interview, actually. I loved it.
It's like going to the theater, because also in the way how Trinchieri talks, in such a theatrical way. I don't know. Not your usual conversation.
Yeah, some can say that he complained a lot, and there were a lot of complaints, but he also touched some good points and fair points about the current European basketball system, but as well as it is also...
I wouldn't say that's complaining. I think it's fair. I think some of his thoughts were discussed by this table, like the play-in tournament for EuroLeague, the basketball calendar that does not make any sense and is not player-friendly. Also that players need time off to craft their skills, which they don't have right now in Europe. You need to have at least a month off where you can just work individually. All these things he said more or less were mentioned by this table, by us.
It was nice that he had an inner look at these issues and these points.
And also him complaining, I cannot blame him. You look at the state of Bayern Munich this season, they always have 5 or 6 players injured, especially when they arrived in Kaunas. You interviewed him before the game?
Yeah, before the game. It was a game day of the morning. Morning of the game day.
They were missing 5 players. 3 of them were guards, ball handlers. What do you expect when a coach is in a situation like this? I don't see other teams suffering as much as Bayern Munich is suffering this season, to be honest. So I don't blame him if he does complain at some point.
But I think he just, Trinchieri mentioned those things that in the coaches community are talked often.
Yeah,
I think, and most of them would agree on what Trinchieri said, especially about the changes needed to be made in European competitions.
Yeah, I remember when I interviewed Itudis, he also mentioned some things, but he was not so open about some stuff, But Trinchieri was direct with the issues and with the potential solutions. Although I'm not so sure if the EuroLeague or FIBA will manage to handle it and to solve those issues in the upcoming future. Yeah, anyways, you can watch this interview also on BasketNews.com YouTube channel. And let's get back to Panathinaikos. So As Dimitris Yiannakopoulos mentioned, since no one has the guts to apologize to the fans or the club for getting crushed yesterday, I'll do it myself. What do you think? Who was to take the most blame or boost for Olympiacos' loss, or who should have take the blame for that game?
I want to hear Riti's opinion first. Or
My
Donato's
opinion? First of all, we should blame Olympiacos for being obviously the better team. And we should blame...
But shouldn't you blame then Panathinaikos organization for not making...
Exactly, for sure. But that's what I've been talking about this whole season, this whole year, even before the season started. I never had any belief in this roster. And when they had that 4-game winning streak, it was nothing special, honestly. They beat Asvel, they beat Virtus at home, they beat Zalgiris, and they beat struggling Milan. And I'm not saying that a 24-point blowout is excusable, but at home, especially in Oaxaca. But the difference in quality is so obvious. I mean, you can expect in one game to have a better chance to beat Olympiacos, but in general, Olympiacos players will always be fired up for a derby. They might have a walk in some other regular season games, as we saw, but not in this game.
The body language, the difference in body languages was just ridiculous to me. The difference in
I think
that department. And
it would be stupid to say that power players were not motivated, were not prepared for the derby, or that the coach didn't do something. It's just that Olympiacos is a much better team, and when they have this fire and desire, I think it's pretty logical that they win the game. 24 points, yes, maybe it's too much. Could have been better. But again, Pau, they always play this ISO basketball. Dwayne Bacon finished with 30. He's probably happy about himself. He would say
that's the problem.
He would say, like, I did my part. Where were you guys?
He was applauded by fans,
so
which I think it was unfair. I mean, because if you look at the box score, it looks like that he was the only one who was fighting for the pride of Panathinaikos. But if you look deeply at the second quarter, his body language, the way he was orchestrating the offense,
when did he start scoring?
Play defense, it was horrible.
When did he start scoring?
In the end of the second quarter,
when they were down by
18, I think.
Yeah.
And it was basically a G League basketball.
And it's like, how can you expect to win playing individually and against a team who knows exactly where it wants to attack you and just plays beautiful basketball? Like, Olympiacos are going to get better shots 90 possessions of the time. Like, and how can you expect to win when your shot percentage is every possession is higher than the other team? And there were so many problems from Pau, like Bacon and Williams just not passing the ball when they collapse the defense. I get it, you scored 30, but he's taking such difficult shots that your teammates are always like, almost every shot Bacon takes is there is a teammate that on the court with the hands open like this, like passing.
Usually in the corner.
Usually in the corner or whatever. Like in a lot of situations you see that. And to me, in Panathinaikos locker room, there are two teams, if not more. Like, to me, it seems in my eyes that when they are on the court, they're not playing like as a team. Like, you see Olympiacos playing as a team, and on the other side, you just see everyone. I mean, not everyone, but a lot of individuals that are just, going with the flow, and that's it. So, how can you win when you are playing two different styles, and it's just really hard.
And Bacon hit 6 from 8 from downtown. It won't happen again. He's not that good of a shooter.
He is after this game where he shot pretty well.
Yeah.
He's 45 and from twos and 32% from threes. Like before this game, it was even worse.
The numbers went up.
The numbers went up. It was like 42, 30, 28% maybe from threes before this game.
Because he takes a lot of step back threes that are not really his best weapon. But what I would like to emphasize is if you look at the box score and you say Bacon scored 30, for Olympiacos, 6 players scored double digits. Olympiacos had 28 assists versus Pau 10. You have Walkup with 6 assists. You have Slukas with 6. You have even Larenzakis with 5. Even Fal with 5 assists, because in some cases he was double teamed, and he's a decent passer as a center, I would say.
He improved a lot. Important role, very in that run in the first half.
So they were sharing the ball. They were doing all the right things, and even Isaiah Cannon finally caught fire, getting his open look. So they were playing beautiful team basketball. I'm talking about Olympiacos and Panathinaikos. They were playing star ball with one guy, that's Dwayne Bacon, and you don't win against Olympiacos in that way. The only way, since you are the underdog, let's be clear about that. Pau is the clear underdog right now in this derby. The only way for you is to grind, to be physical, to play tough defense as much as possible, and offensively you have to share the ball. If you don't share the ball against a team as organized as Olympiacos, what can you expect? 70 points, that's what you get. I don't care that one guy scored 30. It doesn't make any difference.
I think that this was the loss for Panathinaikos, where after such a game, you can completely collapse inside the locker room especially. It was not just a bad loss against your biggest rival, but exactly the body language was even worse than the quality of the game. Of course, it's related together, but watching that team, especially, I will never forget what was happening in the second quarter. It was one of the worst team chemistry pictures I've saw on a high-level team.
Shocking.
I think that Bacon was actually pissed that he didn't get enough touches in the beginning of the second quarter. And what happens when Bacon thinks that he's not getting the ball? So of course, he stops playing defense. There was one presence where Panathinaikos just lost the ball somewhere in the paint. Olympiacos started a transition offense, a fast break. And you could see like for 10 seconds on the screen, I mean, you see a lot of players. Olympiacos tried to score quick points. It didn't happen. But still, some other players were coming to the other side of the floor. And after 10 seconds, it was the first time when I saw Bacon coming back to his half court. In some other situations, he was not playing defense at all. I mean, leaving Shaq McKissick like being 2 meters away from him and just letting him to shoot open threes. You can say that maybe it was related to
risk,
the playoffs last year, and Bacon he disrespects McKissick as a shooter from that experience, and it was a risk. But to be honest, I think it was risk not calculated by the coach and scouting department. It was the risk calculated by Bacon, in my eyes. And then what happened offensively when he was not getting the ball, of course, thanks to Olympiacos, good defense trying to isolate him off the ball, he just took the ball and played G League basketball. When Nate Walters or anybody approached him to try to orchestrate the offense, he was like, run away, I'm doing it by myself. It was like probably 5 possessions in a row where he, at the best, took a screen to launch a shot, but it was just completely ISO basketball. And as you mentioned, I mean, in those situations, when the team is showing completely that they're open, they're wide open for a good shot, and they're not getting the ball, it can completely destroy the chemistry. This already destroyed the chemistry during the game, where you saw that it felt like they might get into some kind of big argument, conflict, even during the game or on the bench. And the whole look, the whole picture was, reminded me something like a New Year party somewhere outside the city where you see a couple in a big conflict, and it's gross. Everybody feels uncomfortable with that, but you know that nobody can leave because it's 10:30. Everybody is quite drunk. It's far away from the
your
city.
New Year parties?
No,
this is where you.
I actually had one of the best New Year party,
Okay,
but
man.
I'm from Panathinaikos. I saw some situations, and it's like you cannot get out. You're outside the city. Taxi is not coming. You're too drunk to drive the car, and you just have to suffer it for another 2 hours. So. That was gross New Year
I
party.
don't know, it sounds
Malta.
kind of entertaining.
This will make a nice headline, on Greek media. Panathinaikos is like a couple on fighting couple on New Year's Eve.
They will make the headline they want. I mean,
no, but
I just wonder how they're gonna look after this game, after this collapse. How they will stick together.
What the reaction will be. Let's see who are they facing in their.
I think they're facing
next game.
Bayern
Munich.
away, and
Bayern
they have
Munich.
2 important home games.
Bayern Munich away, and then at home Fenerbahce, Maccabi.
Yeah.
Do you know, guys, this saying about a shopping cart in a parking lot? Like, you can decide about a person if he brings his shopping cart to the place where it belongs, or just leaves it next to the car, standing in the middle of a parking lot. To me, one situation, like, it's not about the game, it's about what happened during timeout. Like, Bacon was unhappy in the second quarter, that run, and a team manager or team staff member brought him a towel. He just used it, and then this member of the team was standing, like, you know, like me and Reed is right now, and he just, and he's like, you know, give me back the towel, you know, so I can take it and put it in a place. And Bacon, because he was pissed, I don't know, because they were down 15 and he was not getting the ball, he just throws this towel right over this person's head. I'm like, okay, like, how can you know, who can sign this guy for a team? You know, how can you want a player, you know, that has such, let's say, characteristics? Because it's important to many teams in Europe, and it is, you're not only looking at the weaknesses and strengths of a player on the court, but you also have to evaluate how he would fit in the team. And, you know, I'm seeing it's only one moment, you know, but his body language makes it, for me, seem that, you know, it's not the only thing he does, because how he behaves off the court. So to me, it's really hard to imagine, you know, them turning it around really, really quickly.
Yeah, and
to me, it's not a surprise. I don't see them making the playoffs. I mean, they will get some wins in the second half of the season, obviously. But, well, right now they are 15th in the standings. Maybe not necessarily I see them in the 15th position, but I don't even see them in the top 10. And I didn't change my mind when they were winning. I'm not really affected by them losing. And actually, I was working with the other game at the time, Zvezda Barca, and I said to my colleague who was covering the Greek derby that my game is going to be better, because your game is hyped. It's the Greek derby, but I think some asses will be kicked. And in my game, it should be a close one. And I was right, to be honest. I saw the scoreline, what's happening in Oaxaca, and focusing on what's happening in Belgrade, I thought to myself, really, this is the right game to watch tonight. Not Pau Oli, this is the one. Zvezda Barca, it was crazy, really.
Yeah, it was disappointing derby, if you remember Partizan and Zvezda game.
For sure.
Everybody was hyping this game. There were a lot of EuroLeague crew members, let's say, to broadcast this game, to show some behind-the-scenes stuff. And actually, honestly speaking, I mean, the last game in the Greek league, it was pretty close. Panathinaikos was just one shot away from winning that game, and of course, with Vezenkov being out, probably people thought that this is their chance to finally end that drought. I mean, but
again, it just
crazy
shows
losing streak against Olympiacos.
What a great team Olympiacos is,
exactly.
And even if you lose your star player, it doesn't affect your team chemistry. You still play the same way. You still play the right basketball, and we're focusing on the losing side of the derby, but if we focus on the winning side, again, this game just proves that Olympiacos is Final Four material. They are so tough to beat, and when they are focused on the task ahead of them, like it's just poetry to watch Thomas Walkup doing exactly all the right things that the coach wants him to do, whether offensively or defensively. He's like the easiest guy to coach, probably. Yeah. Because whatever mission is,
if you would tell him to go through the wall,
yeah,
he would.
If you ask him to lock the opposition's best player, he'll do that. If you want him to organize the offense, distribute the ball, he will do that. If you encourage him to take spot-up shots when he gets the opportunity, he will take those shots. And we see this season, like last season, in the regular season, he was kind of struggling shooting the ball, but this season, even his numbers are great. Like his averages are, for many players, they seek those numbers and they just don't get them. And at the same time, he's probably, I would say, a contender to be the defensive player of the year, because usually it's very easy to give the defensive player of the year to a big guy. But if we focus on perimeter, Thomas Walkup is probably the Marcus Smart of EuroLeague. I would say that. Maybe a good comparison.
Yeah, man, he's hitting those shots. He's almost a complete player for that team. And then, as you mentioned, I mean, having that game without the potential MVP of the season just tells how great this team is as a team. And maybe that's why I have this hard time of having Vezenkov as a clear MVP contender, because this whole system, this whole team, and of course Kostas Lukas orchestrating the offense, this is what makes this team incredible, not just some individual players, Vezenkov or anybody else. So
I
yeah,
don't know, guys.
Lukas is an underrated guy behind this Vezenkov's MVP case. Just like maybe that's kind of the same happened with Kalaitis and Mirotic last year.
No, I'm just maybe wouldn't agree so much that this game showed how good Olympiacos is. To me, it was just all about, it was too easy for them. I mean, they are good, but they played against an unorganized team and just a team that was doing everything bad in the first half. And Olympiacos just simply needed to play a pick and roll, make one skip pass, and then they're scoring. Or, you know, a post up for Mustafa Fall. And nobody knows when to help. Nobody's coming to help on the pick and rolls. Like, nobody's talking. And yeah, they are good, but their play style against such a team that Panathinaikos is right now, it's just, in my eyes, it was too easy for them. Like, they are good, but I wouldn't say that this game made me feel better about Olympiacos than before.
I was pretty okay with them before, so I'm not saying things changed. I do see them as a Final Four contender. You cannot say a Final Four lock, because in this EuroLeague it's pretty hard to lock anybody in the Final Four.
Okay, let's go to the better game.
Yeah,
better game.
Red Star Barcelona. How do we feel about Nikola Mirotic risking Barcelona after stepping on the line before his crazy...
I feel kind of sorry for Zvezda, because they fought their hearts out and they really gave everything they had to win this game, and they were so close. So that was a very unfortunate mistake by the refs. But at the same time, let's not take away from Mirotic. What a shot. I mean, it's not like he stepped on the line and he went for a layup. Yeah, he did step on the line. Yes, it was out of bounds. Yes, it was a missed call. But he made like the shot of the season. I cannot say the shot of the year, because in 2022 we had Vasa, a game winner over Vezenkov in the semifinal. But that was a crazy shot with such a high arc. And I don't really want to focus on the missed call. I would like to focus on the shot, because other than that, it wouldn't be fair to complain about refs saying that, oh, they're Barca fans, like EuroLeague always helps Barcelona and all these big clubs, blah, blah, blah. Nothing as such happened in the game. Actually, Sharas got 2 technicals in the beginning of the overtime. I don't have any issues with the refereeing in general in that game, but that was a critical mistake. Of course, it's being talked about. I don't really feel angry or anything as such, because the shot by Mirotic was so great, so spectacular.
Because you are a basketball fan.
I mean, I lived it. I loved it. And actually, at the time, I didn't realize he stepped out of bounds. I only realized it when I saw the pictures after.
I think
the
the only guy who realized it was that fan on the court who was pointing the finger, and nobody else saw that. It was historical, but iconic.
Even on the replays, like, I don't think anyone realized on the replays immediately.
It's not that clear. You need to, I mean, when you know that he stepped on it,
it's clear.
Then you focus on it and you see it. But watching the game live, I couldn't think of it. I mean, I thought it was everything. It was just a clean basketball play. Like, I think Higgins delivered the ball to him, then the pump fake, and then the shot.
Man, that's crazy. Fall away, high arcing free for the overtime.
And the reaction from Mirotic after making the shot. He had his head down and went to the bench.
Let's play. Continue.
Like, that's my job. What do you guys expect? That's my job, to make these kind of shots.
Although I think that this situation, this mistake, is another signal that we have to step forward with referees. We need to improve this department, and I believe that should be on the agenda of the EuroLeague board and EuroLeague management. I think it's the time to bring a fourth referee, put him behind the screen to check those situations, to do something like in football to avoid those situations. I'm not saying that he should have the same role as in football for the entire game, but at least for those crucial situations in the last 2 minutes of the game, to call off moments like that if that happens, because I believe that recently we had some bad moments starting from refereeing, and it's different if refs are missing the call when the ball is in play, and just let's say Mirotic, or that's another play and somebody misses the shot, there was foul uncalled and there's a transition, so you cannot stop the play and then say, hey guys, that was a foul, let's award him 2 free throws, because maybe in the transition the other team already scored. But in the moments like this, where there's a clear start and the end of the play, and you can do some adjustments, I think it would really help. It would also help with situations like referees coming to the table to check for 2 missed seconds in the game, and they stop the game for like 2 minutes. That would also fasten the game. So I just believe that we should do something with the fourth referee to help the game become more faster and avoid situations like this. And the other thing is related to user experience of the EuroLeague fans. I would say sometimes in games there are questionable calls, and from our perspective, even I as a journalist, I don't know the rule book how this situation should be solved in the game. And maybe EuroLeague could do something like the NBA. I think it's called the NBA Replay Center, where they call the referee who can say whether it was a good call, whether it was a mistake, or just to give more information about that particular play. One thing to protect the referees, because there are a lot of situations where fans think that it was an obvious mistake by refs. Sometimes even TV commentators don't know the ruling and they made their own judgments, bad judgments. And sometimes you just really never know. And some inside look from the referees department, I'm not saying for every game, but at least for the game of the week, let's say you can do something, to improve the quality of user experience, and at the same time to help referees.
Yeah,
NBA Replay Center has this Steve Javi,
Steve Javi, he explains all these things, and usually it helps. Sometimes these are very obvious things, but sometimes
you never know. Actually, you never know.
Sometimes with
what kind of calls
more difficult decisions, he helps. His explanation helps because he's a very experienced ref. But I don't really buy your idea about this fourth referee and all that stuff, because in this case, Zvezda fans can hate me as much as they want for saying that, but I wouldn't want this to be a reviewable play. I think it goes against the spirit of the game. I hate some of the things that happens in football with VAR. And in this case, the shot happened. The emotions, everybody lived it. And then the ref goes to a screen. He says, well, Mirotic was out of bounds. The shot doesn't count. We put 2 more seconds on the clock because that's the moment when he stepped on the line. Zvezda's ball. I don't think it will improve my basketball watching experiences. Things like that probably killed the spirit of the game a little bit. I'm willing to survive and live with refs' mistakes, but it's easy for me to say because I'm not a fan of any team.
I'm not
the owner of any team. I'm not a coach. I'm not a GM. I'm not a player or anybody. I don't associate myself with any of those teams. I'm just somebody who enjoys watching basketball, enjoys all the drama, and I'm somebody who wouldn't want this shot to be canceled, ruled out, because he stepped on the line. If the call was made during the time, then of course the shot doesn't happen, and that's fine. I get it, but I don't think it should be a reviewable play.
I don't know. To me, Zvezda should have won
they should have won the game even before that.
Like the ref should have seen it, and they should have won the game. They had a lot of they had the lead twice, I think, in the fourth quarter.
12-point lead.
12-point lead, and then in the beginning, and then 8-point lead with 3 minutes to go. I was watching the game with my friend, and he's like saying, "Oh, the game is finished. Like, they make the shot right now." And I'm like, "No, wait. There's 3 minutes still left. Everything can happen." And then Sharas used the Brines extremely well. One transition free, 2 set plays for him that they usually run. Barca attacking Zvezda with pick and pops of Shanley. It was quite a theme in the fourth. But to me, it was a weird why Zvezda did not foul. I mean, probably it was, I think, Lazic on Corey Higgins defending on the last play. And he was thinking, okay, if I try to foul now, probably Higgins is going to, do this motion, shooting motion and draw 3 free throws. But
he delivered the ball to
Mirotic. Still no foul. And then, this is what happened. And I think maybe the referee was so looking at the possible foul because of the time remaining that maybe he did that's why he did not see the foot on the line, actually. So Zvezda played a fantastic game, even with Vildoza out from the quite the beginning of the game, and to be to plus 12 against Barcelona without your one of the 2 best players, to me was impressive, and that was a really good game. And Zvezda is showing really that they are playoff material.
They punished Barcelona's switch defense perfectly.
Mitrovic 5 offensive rebounds, I think.
Petrusev was a beast. They were scoring from the paint. They didn't have 3-pointers, actually. They only made 3 from 20. And that was the only advantage of Barca, because
Barca made 17.
They were hitting shots. Tomasz Satoranski had his career record in the first quarter. I checked, and before this game, his career high was 3 3-pointers in a single game. That happened in 2016. Now he had 4 in the first quarter. That was already his career high. And then he didn't score for 5 hours or something. He scored only in the fourth quarter or in the overtime. But either way, Barca got hot from the very beginning. They built this 11-point lead. And then you saw that Vildoza is out. Actually, in the second quarter, he was already dressed in street clothes. It was clear he cannot play. And then probably a lot of people were thinking, well, this is going to be an easy W for Barcelona. Because what can you expect? They are already leading by 11. They're making every single shot. Zvezda cannot make anything from the perimeter. And they lost Vildoza, arguably their best player. But really a lot of credit to Nemanja Nedovic, how he stepped up in this game. He was a true leader of the team. And he did all the right things. Like when he was driving to the paint, he was always looking for the extra pass, always looking for the cutter. Usually that guy was Dobric with his backdoors, and Nedovic was dishing assists. At the same time, he was very aggressive, attacking the rim, drawing fouls, making all the free throws. He was playing like a heart and soul of Crvena Zvezda. And the heart and soul of the last season was on the opposite side. That's Nikola Kalinic. And that was a great game to watch, an entertaining game to watch. And I think Zvezda was the better team for 3 quarters out of 4. Only in the first quarter, Barca was better. And what happened in the fourth when Zvezda built the 12-point lead is like, I'm not going to say desperation plays, but then you're just putting everything on Abrinas to make those shots and Shanley to hit 1 or 2 off the pick and pop situation. Higgins also made a free, and that was the comeback. But at the same time, Barca had so many problems getting the defensive rebound. And
which is weird from
they're playing switch defense almost throughout the whole game with Vesely. Even with Shanley, I think they were switching most of the time. So they had problems with rebounds. And then again, when Barcelona was getting closer, Zvezda had opportunities. I know Markovic is not a shooter, but there's a wide open spot up shot. If he makes it, the game's closed. Ben Till also had a spot up shot.
A free throw when they were +3.
Yeah.
He missed free throw.
He made the free throw and the game was over. But he missed the second one.
So they had opportunities to avoid Barcelona even having a shot at overtime. Then Mirotic happened, and then in the overtime, it was kind of strange. Sharas getting these two technicals in
like
30 seconds.
Back-to-back 20 seconds.
Yeah, but Barcelona players were making most of their shots. Actually, I think in the first possession, Corey Higgins hit the shot that was kind of similar to Mirotic's fourth quarter shot. Also high arc, also contested. And yeah, I mean, Barca got lucky, in my opinion, to win this game, and you have to respect Zvezda. They lost Vildosa due to an injury. Campazzo was not available. Basically, Duško Ivanović was working with the roster that they had in the beginning of the season. So, and they were the better team, in my opinion. Defensively, offensively, clear ideas how they want to punish Barcelona. Again, Barca had a plan to play switch all defense, which makes sense when you start with Satoranski, Laprovitola, Kalinic, Mirotic, and Vesely. So it kind of makes sense, but it just didn't work because they couldn't be physical enough in the paint. And Petrusev, I mean, he was showing his talents in this game, whether he played as a 4, as a 5.
The guy can score.
Yeah, for sure.
Can you believe that Petrusev was actually... he had the chance to land in Zalgiris, and I would say for reasonable money, but Zalgiris decided to go with Laurynas Birutis. How crazy now it looks like. I mean, okay,
not
Petrusev
instead of Roland Schmitz.
No. Petrusev as a backup center.
Wow,
somebody to Kavarius Hayes.
I mean, talent-wise,
I heard that there was let's say, an opportunity to sign him because, of course, he was coming off a difficult experience in Efes. He was looking for situations to get more playing time, to get more opportunities to show what he can do on the floor. I mean, him and Kavarius Hayes would look as a very interesting center lineup.
Zalgiris probably wouldn't need to look right now for an improvement if Petrusev, was on the team.
That's also true. That's also true. Because in case you need some strong man inside the paint, you can also use Roland Schmitz as your 5-man, to bulk inside.
I would love Schmitz being used more in Zalgiris offense, to be honest.
Talent-wise, probably there's nothing to say. Petrusev versus Birutis, but we know the philosophy of Zalgiris. They always prefer Lithuanian players, so that's what they did. But, well, maybe people didn't even expect Petrusev to be so good offensively this season after what happened in Efes. He still has his defensive flaws, I would say.
But I would say, in Efes, the problem was the defense that, why he was not playing and he wasn't even succeeding and he wasn't on the court. So, offensively, you could have seen that he belongs to this level.
Yeah, and also Mitrovic had a crazy game. Another fighter.
Turnaround three-pointer. It was actually one of these three-pointers was Mitrovic.
That was crazy.
Turnaround off the board.
Yes,
what
exactly.
the hell?
So that was even harder than the Mirotic shot. And they had
much harder.
3 3-pointers. Yeah, they had 3 3-pointers and one of them was this shot. It's how many times you will see in a game that one team is making 17 threes and the other makes 3 and you can barely say they were supposed to win, the team with 3 3-pointers.
But again, Mitrovic, Dobric, Nedovic, Petrusev, that's the big 4. These guys were battling, doing all the right plays. I think Duško should be proud of his players. And another guy is, of course, Stefan Lazarevich, who's willing to sacrifice his numbers, sacrifice his body. He doesn't care about the stat line. He had a task to guard Vezenkov against Olympiacos. He did that perfectly. Now he had the task with Mirotic. Let's remember that Miro had 0 points after the first half. He only started scoring in the third quarter, and Lazarevich was, again, all over his face. So, what can you expect when you have a team full of warriors, full of team-oriented players, and now you have the right coach, as we see. So
exactly.
When Vildosa gets back and Campazzo starts playing, you can expect some big things.
They need to fix the papers with Campazzo now with the injury of Vildosa as soon as fast. But just the last thing to add to you, Lazarevich played 21 minutes, 0 from the court, 2 assists, 4 fouls, -2 PAR.
And people who didn't watch the game could say he played blank minutes.
And Branko Lazic, you didn't mention, the biggest fighter of them all probably. 24 minutes, one shot attempt from the corner. He missed that three. One turnover, 3 fouls, -4 efficiency.
0.0 assists, 0 rebounds.
Completely empty stat line, but these guys do, you can't, the box score doesn't do justice for those type of players.
For sure.
And
they have score 30 points or where you finish scoreless.
Wow.
The box score doesn't give a clear picture.
And you're right. You're right
the
about
conclusion of this podcast.
And you're right about Campazzo. I agree that they need him right now because Vildosa's out for a month. Nedovic needs help. I don't think extended minutes of Stefan Markovic is a good solution. So you must have Campazzo available in the upcoming games. Yeah.
We actually mentioned Zalgiris and potential players who could help them to improve their situation, which is already great. Nobody saw them coming. Nobody saw them participating in the playoff conversation.
Finishing the year with 8-8.
Yeah,
and
they're tied for the 8th position, and
they're so close to winning in Monaco.
Pretty good competitive basketball, and now they declare that they're looking for a potential addition. Looking at the front court at first because of Tyler Kavanaugh and his injury and unclear timeline for the return. Do you think who do you see as a player who could really improve them at this point of their season? And do we all agree that they need big more than a guard when you see Keenan Evans sitting on the bench?
I don't know if they do need a big more than a guard. I think they need both, but probably they should go for a big guy, somebody who can play in the front court, because in the back court, at least you have bodies. I mean, Lekavicius will be back on the court, so you have players like Dimša, Giedraitis, Lekavicius, of course, Evans, the star of the show. You're expecting Brazdeikis to have some sort of improvement in the second part of the season, so at least you have bodies, because if you look at their front court, well, they're lacking bodies. Since Kavanaugh's out, you're playing Schmitz as a 4, then Ulanovas has to cover some minutes as a 4, and at center you only have Hayes and Birutis. So the first signing should be a big guy, and knowing it's Zalgiris, it won't be some expensive signing.
It won't be Singleton, it won't be Jabari Parker.
Yeah, so Singleton obviously is too expensive right now, although we thought of him as a possible solution. So then if you lower your expectations, you go for James Gist as a veteran player. I'm not sure who's available in the free agency market. I don't think that Zalgiris right now is in a position to pay some buyouts to, let's say, Spanish league clubs like they did with Deshaun Thomas some years ago. So, yeah, ideally I would like to sign a guard and a power forward / center. But in this case, probably first of all, we're expecting a big guy.
What do you think?
It's just so hard to me, like I said to you before, it's so hard in Europe actually to improve the roster during the season. Because in the NBA, you have, trades, you can have, signed players from Europe. Here, and you have much more teams. Here, it's so hard to take a player from a different team, even if he is struggling, let's see Deshaun Thomas's case. And it's just, Champions League or Euro Cup players that are coming straight into the EuroLeague for the first time, you don't know if they are even going to improve your team, even if these, the top best players, because it's just, the adjusting phase that the player has to go through, and et cetera, et cetera. So I believe that they need improvements as soon as possible in the front court. Like in the back court, you have more bodies, and you have a system that is based on Keenan Evans, so you can surround him with the defenders in the second and third position that can that need to only score from a spot up threes, and the system is working so far, we see. But you have only 3 players right now in the front court, and that's not enough. It's good against Monaco because Ulanovas is good at the 4 because in Monaco has John Brown at the 4 who doesn't really play with the ball,
and then they play Blossom game.
Yeah, and so and he's basically the same type of player as Ulanovas are. He starts at the 3. So, but if Zalgiris, let's say, meets a team who has a power forward who is really scoring in the post, and and Ulanovas has to guard him, I see that as a problem. So 4 and 5 would be ideal. Deshaun Thomas would be ideal, but I think he's too expensive and doesn't really go away from Milano.
Yeah.
Or he had some decent performances recently.
Yeah. The thing is that it looked like Deshaun Thomas was on the move because he was not getting playing time in Milan, and there was a lot of interesting from the other EuroLeague teams, because we all remember who Deshaun Thomas was half a year ago.
6 months ago, he was balling against Barcelona in the quarterfinal series.
But the thing is that especially after the last game where he got praised by Ettore Messina, and from what I heard recently, it's way more likely that he will stay in Milan until the end of the season, especially now where they're missing bodies. Although you can say that when all the injured forwards will come back, his playing time might be very limited. But at this point of the season, Milan really needs him. Ettore Messina still believes in him. So let's wait and see where it goes. I mean, you just mentioned a good thing.
Who are available from the market, from EuroLeague teams? How do you,
That's the problem.
How do you know that?
Achille Polonara might be available. Ataman already told that he's unhappy with his role. He told that his agent is working on trying to find him a better situation. But at the same time, I think that he is just too expensive for Zalgiris. And if Polonara is leaving back-to-back champs, he's definitely looking for some other situation. For instance, playing under Duško Ivanović, who had really good time when he played in Baskonia. So from Zalgiris' perspective, it's a big question, because not only Zalgiris, some other teams are looking for improvement in the fourth position, and the market is so bad for them because you cannot sign any solid player who will for sure improve your team. Even Chris Singleton, it might be that Chris Singleton will start playing good basketball only when the playoffs kicks in, or the Final Four, like the last year. So it's a tough situation to improve the EuroLeague team, whether you're Zalgiris or a team like Efes, Monaco, or whatever.
I remember 2019-2020 when Zalgiris actually made a very solid addition in the middle of the season when Casey Rivers joined the team. But not always you will have these players available in January. So I'm thinking
it was not like Casey Rivers was on the top shelves of the market. He had some injury problems, some in bacteria or something, that's why he was ruled out from Panathinaikos. Yeah, no, he was barely making the EuroLeague, and he still had to be proven.
That's what I'm saying. You need some luck to have a successful signing in January. Maybe I'm thinking about the guy that has been in Lithuania twice, signing some open contracts with Rytas. That was Morris Enduro. So a player like that could help Zalgiris right now. I think he's playing in Japan. So when you don't know the contract situation, maybe the player has the option to leave if he gets the offer from a EuroLeague club. I don't know any of those details, but probably Zalgiris needs somebody like this, somebody who can play as a power forward and as a center. But if you go for somebody like Deshaun Thomas, who's more of a 3 and 4 guy, then obviously you push Schmitz more often to the center position. So this is also a possible solution. And Deshaun Thomas would be a good addition, but let's just wait and see what happens. I mean, Zalgiris right now is in a better position in the standings than people expected. At the same time, some people are raising unrealistic expectations to make it to the Final Four in Kaunas. Paulius Motiejūnas is usually very pragmatic. He doesn't make decisions based on emotions.
They won't find some betting company which
it's not like they're going to get €2 million all of a sudden. So
from Meridian Bet.
To me, the only regret is that they didn't beat Monaco, because Monaco will not be that beatable as they were on the evening, because they didn't have Jordan Lloyd. Mike James was not really, well, physically he wasn't in the game, but mentally he wasn't. And Zalgiris was leading for most part of the game. They were hitting shots with good numbers, especially in the first half. So that was a very good opportunity to get a win against one of these elite teams away from home, and they didn't do it.
It was just the same wasted opportunity like for Red Star against Barcelona. These both teams had the win in the
But
party.
Red Star was unlucky, and Zalgiris, they had the luck in their own hands, and they just threw it away, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Mike James is a unique guy. It was the first game for him, and the first game in 5 years where he ended up the game without a field goal, which actually tells a lot about how great the player is if we make those calculations and those counts. Oh, Mike James didn't make a field goal, and it happened 5 years ago last time. Then he travels to Athens. He brings Donta Hall to show him a Greek derby. Of course, the experience fails with this crazy game in Oaxaca. He met with Spanoulis, and I just wondered, it was a kind of unexpected, meeting between two of them. They played for different teams. Of course, they are both greats of the EuroLeague. I just never thought that they get along together, and I was thinking maybe Mike James is thinking about some other moves in his post-retirement. He mentioned that he should be a good GM, having an eye on Keenan Evans before the season started. Now he's meeting with Spanoulis, maybe taking some advices about head coaching. I don't know.
I think he wrote, "It's crazy that on my day off, I went to a game and to a practice." Because he met Spanoulis, as I understand, in a practice gym. But this also has to be addressed. That offensive foul call on Mike James is bullshit. Absolute bullshit. And after that,
technical was well deserved.
Well, for sure. Of course, he threw the ball.
Bullshit,
He threw the ball, but the call, that's a bullshit call. I mean, how can you... What do you expect, first of all? He's a ball handler. He's being pressured by a pretty big body, a pretty physical player, Arnas Butkevičius. So, of course, he's trying to get some advantage with the bump with his shoulder. It's not like he was extending his arm. I get it when he extends the arm and pushes the player, it's an offensive foul. But in this case, to me, it's just a basketball play. And giving a third foul to a star player, this again shows you the difference between EuroLeague and the NBA. I cannot see in the NBA, for example, you have 6 personal fouls. So let's say it's the 4th foul on the table. And do you imagine a ref giving a charge in that situation to Giannis, to Doncic, to LeBron? It's impossible.
Star players are not getting called for that foul.
Yeah, and no player should get called for that foul. I mean, I don't care. Even the simplest of point guards shouldn't be punished for just using his shoulder to draw the contact and get some more space.
This is like exactly what they tell you to do in basketball school. When you are pressured against, let's say the best defender on the other team.
Yeah.
The coaches say to you, don't dribble, between the legs, behind the back. Don't try to switch directions 3 times. What they tell you to do is you take the ball, you choose one side, you sprint, and then in the end, when you cross the line, you bump the guy, and you get some time to organize the game and organize the set play and pass, make the entry pass to the set play. And you do this when you play, you do this like 5-6 times per game, when they're pressuring you, and no one is ever getting called for a foul, like you said. Yeah. If you do this movement, full hand swing, then that's a foul. But when you bump with the shoulder, like that's in how football works. No, you don't. If you can bump with the shoulder, you
but
can
it has
use
to
your
be shoulder to shoulder.
Shoulder to shoulder. But it was kind of shoulder to shoulder because Butkevičius was right here.
It was just a basketball play, nothing more than that. And then you give the charge and then the technicals. I mean, the reaction was unacceptable. Of course, you must punish him with the technical. There's no other way. But the reaction was summoned by the bad call before that.
Guys, we're short of time, so maybe let's wrap up 2022. What would be your top 3 basketball memories?
I have Micic step back game winner in the Final Four. I have watching live Serbia, Greece, and Giannis versus Jokic show. That was an amazing game with so many dunks, and Jokic, that shot from the corner was probably the most memorable shot of the year, even more memorable than the Micic game winner. And to me, I have Italy-Serbia, Italy's 3-pointer show. I was so hyped, and it was just such a cool moment to witness.
Well, to me, first of all, Steph Curry getting NBA Finals MVP. He was a champion. He never got the MVP.
Finally.
That's the first moment. Then I should agree with Micic, game winner in the semifinal. over Vezenkov. That was a legendary shot. We will see it for many years.
And after like 5 or 10 years, when you probably Vezenkov and Mitic have finished their careers, it should probably will be even more legendary. We will remember these two as EuroLeague greats, and one hitting the shot after.
Probably it's the second biggest Final Four shot after Printez's game.
And the other moment to me personally would be witnessing Victor Wembanyama twice. Live twice, because I was in Paris to see his game, and then French national team brought him to Panevėžys, and to have the opportunity to see potentially one of the greatest players in the world before he steps a foot on the NBA court, before he's drafted #1, is something special, and I really loved it. So that's one of the memorable moments to me.
You could say like this is going to be like you seeing LeBron James in 2003 in a high school game.
Something like that.
Potentially.
That's huge. I actually had Olympiacos and Monaco series, of course, including Kevin Durant being live in those games. We're not used to see.
Wait, you saw those live?
No,
you saw Barcelona Bayern.
Yeah,
series
but
live.
It was a pleasure to follow the series with all these adjustments, individual performances, with all these trash talking experiences, and of course with KD in the gym and the apocalypse which happened after the game 5. It was beautiful to watch. That's why we want playoff series for the entire post-regular season phase. Serbian Cup final in Niš. It might sound very random, but it was a great opportunity to watch live the big Serbian derby, Partizan Zvezda. Both fans allowed to go to the gym, so it's kind of a war zone, basically. All the regulations, nobody cared about COVID regulations, although it had to be up to 50 or 30% of capacity filled with fans. The gym was full and a sold out crowd. The game was bad, but the whole experience, learning more about derbies, meeting some random fans in the restaurant, and them speaking of how they were used to beat opposing team fans and gas stations outside the town was something. Also, Eurobasket, the whole Eurobasket experience, and I thought about this one particular moment, and probably it was a post-game interview. The whole memory starts with Vilnius, friendly game, Spain, Lithuania, and after the game, I'm doing a short interview with Sergio Scariolo. He's sitting on this, I would say, chest. Probably it's some audio system or something of the arena. He's just sitting there, and he tells me how painful, how stressful it is to watch Serbia versus Slovenia with so much talent on the court. He has to deal with this roster. He has to build some team with that team, with a lot of new players, with a lot of players which a lot of basketball fans all around Europe didn't know nothing about before the Eurobasket. And then you see him, celebrating the Eurobasket title with amazing coaching decisions and, of course, with amazing team effort throughout the whole competition. And, of course, it includes all these memories about big teams and big players like Greece, Slovenia, and Serbia. So that was a hell of a year. And I'm even missing, in my top 3, I'm missing Wembanyama, I'm missing Mitic. So a lot of exciting things had happened in 2022.
So just one last note from me, listening to what we mentioned as the best memories. We have to go to watch more game lives, because we all included, you watching Wembanyama live, me watching Giannis versus Jokic live, you watching Eurobasket and Wembanyama and Serbian Cup game. So a 2023 resolution to watch more game lives.
Yeah,
that does not depend on
sound
me
realistic
much.
for Ritis.
I think I usually have a week off after the EuroLeague regular season. So then I go
to watch NBA playoffs. I don't know.
I usually go to some countries to see UEFA Champions League or something like that, because I have a whole week. No, it's not the final. It's usually quarterfinal stage when EuroLeague's regular season finishes.
I thought
in April. Then you have a week without EuroLeague, and
then the playoff starts.
I get this mini holiday vacation, or you could say.
Do you have another 5 minutes for short bold predictions for 2023? Because you have to leave for a football game.
Let's go. 5 minutes is something I can survive.
So let's go shortly. everybody with 2 bold predictions.
Well, first of all, I would say that Baskonia and Zvezda makes the playoffs.
Both. Okay.
Yes, because we have 6 teams that are not being questioned and 2 open spots. Some people could say Maccabi, some people could say something else. I say Zvezda and Baskonia, and Baskonia right now is actually leading the standings.
That's not a bold. No, I'm kidding.
A little bit. I mean, I'm not saying that's something unrealistic.
Bold prediction would be Baskonia finishes first in the regular season.
Okay.
Sure. Well, I'm not saying that, but
home court advantage, I think, would also be a bold prediction.
That would be huge for Baskonia, knowing how they play in the Bues Arena.
For sure.
I have an NBA prediction: Golden State in the finals, even with how they are playing right now, even with Steph Curry injured right now, and even though they are 9th, I think, in the West, which is very competitive. And but I still think when playoffs time come, they will be extremely dangerous. And some I know there are problems on this team this year, but I think some guys are writing off that team too soon.
If that happens, that might be a repeat. Warriors with Celtics, and this time I would definitely go
with the Celtics.
What
about bold prediction would be Brooklyn in the finals?
I don't see them winning the East. I don't see them winning against Celtics unless injuries happen, because you never know.
Yeah,
but they're clicking.
But it's good to see them finally forgetting all the, let's say, bad stuff off the court and finally concentrating on basketball.
Like I say about Brooklyn, they are always 1 tweet away from blowing the team. But right now things are clicking. Jacques Vaughn is getting a lot of praise and they're winning games. They have a 11 or 12 game winning streak.
Yeah.
So good for them. But I still think Celtics is a better team, and maybe even Milwaukee Bucks if Chris Middleton is healthy and ready to help Giannis.
So your NBA prediction would be Boston winning it all?
My prediction is Boston winning the championship, the Larry O'Brien Trophy, and I don't have an opinion about the West because anything can happen in the West. It wouldn't surprise me if the Pelicans win the Western Conference.
Good choice.
With Zion being healthy, if Ingram is back on the court, they have a deep roster. The young guys are very solid, and they gained a lot from last season's experience going through the play-in tournament. So I do believe that Pelicans have what it takes.
Okay.
Speaking of finals, I have a prediction that Greece will be in the FIBA World Cup finals, and they will have a legit shot to beat Team USA. First of all, I will believe Greece will bounce back impressively after the Eurobasket experience. Giannis, Itoudis, they will make their own adjustments. And then you have a great backcourt with Kalaitis, who got his confidence back. Slukas was always amazing. You have Dorsey, he was already great in Eurobasket, but on top of that, you might have Naz Mitrolong, for example. He would add a lot of shooting and scoring around Giannis. Larentzakis, he's playing his year, his best year in his career. Then maybe Kostas Antetokounmpo will benefit from, first of all, turning to 25 and playing half of the year for Dimitris Itoudis. And I think that Team USA, they won't have their best roster. It's not the Olympics, so they will have some different names, not elite players, and they won't play defense against Giannis like other Eurobasket teams, for example. So it will be better fit for Greece to be competitive in the finals.
And EuroLeague champions, quick predictions.
Have Barca, actually. That would be my bold prediction because it's Kaunas. It would be an amazing fairy tale for Šaras, maybe to finish it off, his head coaching experience in Barcelona. His future unclear in Barca. They have all the experience in the world they need with Mirotic, with Higgins, with Vesely. They're not the most attractive team, but the Final Four kicks in. It's the matter of handling 2 games. The experience, the patience, the timing will help them to improve their game. And for all the other pieces, like I know Kuric or Satransky, to fit their team picture better at that final stage of the season?
And I say Monaco, because the hard part is
Mike James. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, the hard part is to make it to the Final Four. If you do make it, then you need to win 2 games against similar level opponents. It has been done before. If Monaco wins it, it would kind of remind me of Maccabi winning it with Tyrese Rice being the MVP. So as long as they're in the Final Four, I believe they can win it. But the tough part is, of course, to win the quarterfinal series. Depends on who you're facing. Right now, it's too hard to predict what will be the pairs. But yeah, I hope to see Monaco in the Final Four, and I believe they can win it. But at the same time, I see in the Final Four Olympiacos, Barcelona, and sort of a bold prediction. I think Real Madrid will not be there this time. I don't really trust Chus Mateo yet to win a playoff series. And one way or another, whether you finish third, fourth, or second in a regular season, you will face a very strong opponent. So I'm saying that Real Madrid will not be in Kaunas in the Final Four.
Okay. And you?
Well,
what do you have for the winners?
Champions.
I was choosing between Anadolu and Barcelona.
Okay.
And I just hope Anadolu makes the playoffs. And
again, you're going to be slandered for calling them Anadolu.
Oh my God!
You either say
Efes. Can we cut this part?
You either say Efes or you say Anadolu Efes.
Okay, I'm choosing Efes. Not as the champions, but to call them Efes. No. I mean,
again, historical free-peat.
No, I believe it's Sharestheim and Barcelona, but I think the final will be between these 2 teams.
I think it's about time for Ataman to do something even more special. So maybe it's time to win the EuroLeague from the 8th seed.
That would be, wouldn't be a bad matchup against Baskonia for them. As the standings are right now, I mean, maybe he's projecting, this already at the moment. So.
But Efes, again, they continue to surprise me. Like, in some games, you start thinking, finally, they're treating the regular season seriously, like they played against Olympiacos or against Barcelona. And then all of a sudden, they're losing the 4th quarter in Tel Aviv. What was the scoreline?
22.
I think so.
At one point, it was 20-2.
And then you're thinking, like, how does this happen? And
there are so many strange results.
Not taking it away from Maccabi, their home form is amazing. They're winning almost every game at home. 7-1 at home, yeah. Led by Lorenzo Brown, who's, again, probably is not one of the MVP considerates, but the way he's playing, he should be on the list.
Probably the most valuable.
He should be on the list as a potential MVP, because he's just leading this team.
We kind of have to talk about his shoulder situation, because he's carrying the Maccabi too hard. Probably we have to talk about it soon.
He should ask Doncic for some advice as far as we see the recovery beer works, because Luka recovered. Coach Popovich promised to keep him under 50. Luka scored 51. They win by 1. Obviously, if Pop's plan would have worked and Luka had 49, Spurs would win the game. But Spurs are not that interested in winning games right now. They are interested in drafting.
There's a guy in Paris,
Yeah, guys, I would love to talk basketball with you for 2 more hours, but I actually have to go to work. This is not work. Let's say this is
a hobby.
A hobby, but I have to go to work.
Thank you all for watching. Happy New Year, everybody. You can follow us on basketnews.com and, of course, on Basket News YouTube channel. And see you very soon.